Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing some more shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin because, guys, you know I like to speak in decision points on Bitcoin because a lot of times what you'll find is that there's a major turning point coming in a market, and you can normally tell when it's coming, but you might not know exactly which direction that market is going to take a turn for. That is happening today. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the end of the consolidation pattern that we've been watching for the last 3 days, and we're also going to be looking at some key technical indicators that are normally very accurate and using those to determine which direction Bitcoin is about to break out. Guys, I think some big moves are coming to Bitcoin today, and you're going to want to be prepared for them because there's definitely profit-making potential inside of these moves. So if you guys do enjoy today's video, go ahead and smash that like button. I really do appreciate it, considering I've had to make this intro about 10 times because my voice keeps messing with me. I'm still sick. And also, guys, before we dive on into it, let me remind you about the sale running on CT2A. That has about 48 hours left, so if you want to join the Academy with the coupon code, make sure you do in the next couple of days. That sale's not going to be coming back for a little while. But anyway, guys, without holding it off for much longer, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. As you guys will all know by now, Bitcoin had a gigantic rally back on the 25th of October. We're talking 40% in the span of 15 hours. That's one of the biggest rallies, the quickest rallies that Bitcoin has seen in a very long time. I'm talking probably close to a year. And from there, Bitcoin has started to thankfully flag out and start to consolidate. The reason I say thankfully is because the last thing I wanted to see Bitcoin do was shoot straight to $14,000 because Bitcoin would shoot straight back down to 7 because that's just the way the markets work. You need to give time for the bulls and the bears to lock in the positions that we're sitting at. And that's what we've been doing ever since the 25th, guys. We've been locking in the position here above our critical levels of support and resistance. We're talking the 200 and the 50 daily simple moving average. These are important moving averages, and Bitcoin is locking in its price above them. We're not even testing them as support. We're getting support above them, which is a very good thing to see. I'm happy to see that. It looks very good for the chart. Same thing with the 20 EMA. And of course, guys, as we talked about in yesterday's video, I do highly recommend you watch this video for a general overview of what's going on right now in the markets. As we talked about in that video, most of the technical indicators are starting to become more and more bullish as Bitcoin moves to the upside and stays up here. Case in point, the MACD and the RSI. But just because most of the technical indicators are looking pretty bullish doesn't mean that all of them are. Let's go down to the 4-hourly chart because there's something I want to show you. Check this out. I'm going to leave this on screen for a second, and if for some reason you didn't read the title and you don't already know what I'm talking about here, I want you to look for what's wrong with this chart. If you're newer to technical analysis, it's a good idea to do this sometimes. Look on a chart and see if you can figure out what's wrong with it, because there is something wrong here. Pause the video if you don't already know what's going on. Pause it and try to find it. Okay, good. You're back. Perfect. Let's keep going. I feel like Dora right now. Anyway, Bitcoin had some uptrending right here. We saw a bottom, and then we saw a higher bottom on the chart. Unfortunately, we did not see the same thing on the RSI. We saw a downtrend on the RSI with its bottoms. We saw a higher low, then a lower low, as opposed to a lower low, and then a higher low. I can speak. The reason that's unfortunate, guys, is because that is called classical bearish RSI divergence. That's a mouthful, but essentially it means that Bitcoin should be moving to the downside. And, you know, it's easy to write off one technical indicator. It's easy to say, okay, well, this is just one pattern. It's not that big of a deal. Everything else is looking bullish. But might I remind you that the entire reason that most people said this rally started in the first place had to do with RSI divergence, right there with some lows and right there with some highs on the RSI. So I don't want to be too quick to write off RSI divergence because it is honestly one of the most powerful technical indicators. I mean, we talk about it in the Academy here. We have a full video on RSI divergence after the video on RSI, specifically because RSI divergence has such a good track record of being reliable and predicting the markets correctly. So it being on the 4-hourly chart, that's the perfect time frame for the kind of time frame that we're looking at here. That's the perfect time frame for the length of this rally. It is definitely not something to write off just because it's one technical indicator. But guys, it's not just that technical indicator. And let me be clear here before I keep going. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin. The conclusion we're going to draw in this video is not a long-term bearish conclusion. I still think Bitcoin's in an uptrend. I think things are perfectly fine, but for the next couple of days, we might be bearish. I'm not talking about Bitcoin's going back down to $6,000 anymore. I was proven wrong on that. I'm not talking about Bitcoin having to go below $7,200. I think Bitcoin is in an uptrend, and I think we are going to sustain it. So let me just make myself clear on that before I move to the next point here. And the next point, of course, would come from the Bitcoin gap that a lot of you guys have probably seen by now. If we go over to Bitcoin futures, you will notice that there is a quite large gap starting down here at around $8,665. Out on the daily chart, that starts at around $8,728. And if you guys know anything about futures gaps, then you will likely know that futures gaps are almost always filled. It's extremely rare, and in fact, I think on the history of Bitcoin on the CME futures chart, it has never happened that a Bitcoin gap has not been filled. As you can see on this chart, we had a gap right here, and we did in fact come down to fill it down around $8,400, and now we're seeing another gap. Now, you don't see gaps very much in the Bitcoin market because, quite frankly, people aren't doing technical analysis and trading on markets that open and close. Almost all cryptocurrency markets, especially ones that are non-institutional, are 24-hour trading, so trading gaps are extremely rare. But the reason that this happened is because a majority of the rally that we saw actually happened over the weekend when CME futures were not open. And because of that, we are left with a gap. And that's not really a problem, but it sort of is, because what Bitcoin is probably going to do is Bitcoin is probably going to fill that gap. I mean, you look at the history of Bitcoin and other like stock markets, and it's almost statistically guaranteed that we're going to fill that gap at some point. And if Bitcoin just moonshot straight up to $16,000 like some people think it's going to, is that really going to happen? No, I don't think so. In fact, I think the healthiest thing for Bitcoin to do would be to go ahead and fill it sooner rather than later, which is what I think might actually end up happening today. As you guys can see, if we plot about $8,750, which is right around where that gap opens, it starts right around down here. What Bitcoin would need to do is break bearish out of our consolidation pattern that we're looking at today, come down to this level right here, and then bounce. That would fill the gap that's sitting over here, and then we'd be able to continue on our way. But guys, if you haven't been in the market for very long and you don't understand gaps, then I want to make sure you are aware. Gaps are very powerful. They almost always get filled. Like I said, on Bitcoin's history, they literally always get filled. No one really knows why that happens. It's not something that's, it's not a technical indicator like any other, really. It's just a statistical likelihood. And if you guys are in the academy and you know this video, technical indicators, how to spot a winning indicator and pattern, the two things we talk about there are what does the history of that pattern look like and how many people are looking at that pattern. If you have those two things, on lock with an indicator, then it's probably a good indicator. And let me tell you something. Everybody looks at CME gaps on Bitcoin. Even if they don't agree with them, they're giving them their attention, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. And they have an almost perfect track record. Same thing with RSI Divergence, which is why those are two very powerful indicators and why they lead me to the conclusion that I'm about to make, which is this, guys. Bitcoin has a CME gap down at $8,700 that needs to be filled. Bitcoin has 4-hourly RSI Divergence that is almost always going to give you an accurate view of the market. I think what's going to happen here, guys, is that in today's video, and this is like a 60-40 prediction. You guys know I don't like going 90% likelihood that this is going to happen. I like giving a lot of berth for me being wrong because, you know, I'm not perfect. No one is. And I want to make sure you guys are prepared for the inverse scenario. I want to make sure you guys are prepared for the opposite of what I say. Make sure you have your stop losses and everything. But based on the analysis that I'm looking at, I think what's probably going to happen today is that Bitcoin is going to break bearish out of this consolidation pattern, fall down to $8,700, fill the gap, and continue higher. Now, look, it's possible that Bitcoin breaks bullish here, moves up to $10,600, double tops, and then comes down and does it later, and then we keep rallying from there. Something like that is very possible. I wouldn't prefer to see that happen because then, well, of course, we have a double top in play. I think not only the more likely scenario, but also the scenario that leads to the most bullishness for Bitcoin is that, in fact, we break bearish out of this consolidation pattern, come down, fill that gap so we don't have to worry about it anymore, and then Bitcoin continues to rally. Because, guys, I can't stress this enough. RSI Divergence and CME gaps, they are very, very powerful indicators. There are some indicators that are going to be very fallible, some of which I don't use on this channel anymore because of that. Something like Bollinger Bands, always giving you false signals. You get so many false signals from that indicator. But RSI Divergence and CME gaps, they are almost never wrong. So guys, the scenario I laid out with Bitcoin breaking bearish and fulfilling that prophecy of the CME gap, whatever you want to call it, today, that might not happen today. It might happen tomorrow. It might happen next week. It might happen a month from now. But I do think it's going to happen. And based on that 4-hourly RSI Divergence, it seems like it may happen sooner rather than later. And guys, of course, that is nothing to be concerned about, so please don't get upset at me in the comments section. That's actually a good thing for us. And the reason that that's a good thing for us is because what that means is that Bitcoin is going to have another correction. After Bitcoin fulfills the CME gap, then we'll probably have a little bit of a bounce around $8,700. Maybe we pull back to another level of support. I mean, $8,700 is already a pretty strong level of support, well, with our tops up here. And then from there, we can put in some buy orders and some long orders and let them ride for the next couple of days on into the next week or two, and then make some good gains as we are able to get entries lower on Bitcoin. So this is actually a big opportunity for you guys. If this does come to pass, don't get upset. Look at it as a trading opportunity. You got to remember everything that the market does is in fact a trading opportunity. But guys, to wrap the video up, I do want to make sure you're understanding of this. No matter what happens today, whether Bitcoin breaks bullish or bearish, a breakout is more than likely coming today. I will say this, Bitcoin redefined its uptrend of support last night. It was set like this. Now it is set like this, so that might happen again, but like I said, more than likely some kind of breakout of this pattern is going to be coming today. So be watching your charts. I'm going to be doing the same. If something crazy happens and I'm at home, I will try to live stream it. But anyway, guys, I'm feeling really bullish on Bitcoin. I think the future looks bright. I've always thought that. I've never wavered from, and no matter what happens today, that's not going to change that. So guys, look forward to the future. The future is bright. Make sure you're working on your investing portfolio as well as your trading portfolio. But guys, that is pretty much going to have to wrap it up for today's video. Two things that the outro. One is that I do want to remind you of the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. Guys, like I said, the great thing about CT2A is that it's an exchange between you and I. Not only does it allow me and my team to continue making content here on YouTube so that we're able to continue bringing you these videos, it also allows you in one concise, very inexpensive package to learn everything you need to know about technical analysis all in one place. We have had about 907 students go through CT2A and they're loving every minute of it, guys. I was talking to 3 of my students this morning in Discord about different things. I was talking to one about depth charts, another one about the product that we're launching next month, and another one mentioned an ascending triangle pattern that we were discussing. Guys, when you join CT2A, you get lifetime access. There's no subscription period. You get lifetime access to all current and all future content. You get access to 34 videos, 10 hours of content. Every single one of these videos is being refreshed and will be done by the end of the year. You get access to all of that for no extra charge, and you also get access to any new video that I put in here. While I was refreshing the course, I went ahead and added this video. I love this video. So guys, there's 2 days left on this sale. Like I said, this sale is not going to be coming back for a little while. Something big is happening next month, and it's going to cause CT2A to be put on the back burner for a little while. So I do want to encourage you guys to join the academy while it is still on sale. Join the Discord server down below and talk to some of our students. See what they have to think, and then if you like what you hear, go ahead and hit the link down below. Join CT2A with the coupon code October 2019. No caps, no spaces. You get $40 off at checkout, and for $159, you can start your learning journey and learn just about everything you need to know about technical analysis in one place so that you can get started. So guys, that was the first thing I want to mention. The second thing I want to mention, I just alluded to, and that is that there is something big coming next month on November 16th. That is the 2nd birthday of the channel. I can't believe we've been doing this for 2 years, man. Where in the world did those 2 years go? They've been great. It's just been crazy. But I am going to start building a little bit of hype. Let's get a drum roll, please, for that, because I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. November 16th, mark your calendars, guys. We got something big coming. I have someone who's known about this in secret for a couple of months, and he keeps bugging me. He's like, Jeb, when is this launching? I want to be in already. That would be Alchemist. You know who you are. He's probably watching this video because he loves my stuff. Anyway, guys, make sure you mark that November 16th. That's coming up. And I'm really looking forward to it, guys. As always, I'm looking forward to the future. The future looks bright. I'm very happy with the way things are moving. I'm very happy to be alive. It's a great time to be living. Anyway, guys, things are looking up, but that is going to have to do it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, please do hit that like button. It really does help out the channel when you do that. I would be appreciative if you did. If you don't hit the like button, I might just have to prove that Craig Wright is Satoshi, and we wouldn't want to have to do that, would we? If you don't hit the like button, I might just have to delete your BitConnect account, and you wouldn't want me to do that, would you? Go ahead and hit the like button. Doesn't cost you anything, but it does help out the channel. But anyway, guys, like I said, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.